people, so here we are on the 30th of June 2019, going into July tomorrow, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of picking of vegetables from the vegetable bed. So I'm probably going to be having some broad beans, some beetroot, some Swiss chard and some spinach, so hopefully rather plentiful it's going to be. So we're going to go out there in a moment and do a bit of that. Getting lots of fruit as well, loads of tayberries, you know that if you've been following the channel for a while. The strawberries, which I've got in the polytunnel, most of them anyway, they're actually doing very well considering it's their first year. So next year should be very, very good indeed. I've got them in some good quality compost. So yeah, quite happy how the strawberries are coming on. So let's go and do some picking. So strawberry wise, look, you can see what we got there, look. So actually they're probably, good. Some of these are actually starting to go a little bit over. These are variety Cambridge favourite. I'm sticking totally with a Cambridge favourite really in the project here, the strawberries, because as you know I want to take runners and I want to sort of be aware of what I'm growing, and if I start getting other varieties and all that, one can sometimes forget and not label things properly. I'm sure the majority of you gardeners out there have done that at one time or another, but down here, look, still doing pretty good. Now yeah, right, let's go and get some veggies. Well, we'll start down here with some beetroot, shall we? See what we got. There we go. Yeah, one of my, I think Terry, said to me, or asked me if I'm having trouble with beet leaf miner, which is a pest. I'm not actually, believe it or not. I'm very lucky really that these seem to be, you know, relatively okay. I like to pick them when they're small like this because, you know, they're nice and tender, aren't they? So that's looking pretty good. And this one, let's have this one out. Excuse me, there you go. Let's see what we got here. Hey! Yeah, come on. Pretty good, isn't it? Two nice beetroots there. I wonder what else we've got. So these ones, although I sowed the seeds in the cell trays, you may remember, at the same time as these, I didn't plant them out till later because I was deciding basically what to do with them. So we're getting these at a later date, as I will the ones over there as well. Yeah. Let's have a look down here. Wow, that's a nice one. Look at that one. Intriguing shape. So I'm going to be cooking up some of that. Right, let's have some of the broad beans. When these are young, you can eat them, the pods as well, but when they're this sort of size, this is when you eat the beans inside, and they tend to be, you know, if you eat the pods, they'll be very tough. So sort of just eat the beans, really. What else we got? Oh, down here, look, not bad. Now, I don't go for the overall particularly regimented and tidy vegetable patch and garden in general. You probably, I imagine you've worked that one out by watching my channel. You know, there are sort of good reasons for this really. I mean, basically the reason is to keep a garden totally weed free and, you know, really, really tidy and pleasing to the eye can be very, very time consuming indeed. And I think that a lot of people, when they get into gardening, they get intimidated because they go around and they see such beautifully well kept gardens, whether it be sort of shrubs, flower garden, vegetables, fruit, whatever, and they get sort of despondent and think, oh, I can't possibly do anything like that. But, you know, end of the day, a lot of these people that have really beautifully manicured gardens, they either have a lot of time to do it themselves, or they're getting people in to do it, or their family do it, or whatever. But basically the point is, it can be a very time consuming thing, and I go for the more rustic approach simply because it allows me to grow a lot of stuff basically without worrying too much about what things look like. Well, there's a broad beans, because ultimately what I'm going for is good food production. You know, because end of the day, oh man, doesn't that look cool? Now, if your brassicas aren't covered up now, by brassicas I mean member of the cabbage family, make sure you do, because although I've not seen any yet, intriguingly enough, it seemed a bit later this year, but the cabbage white butterflies will be out and about, and it will be a real shame for you to lose your crop, because cabbage white butterflies will proceed to lay their eggs all over the leaves, and then you'll get caterpillars and they'll decimate your crop. I mean, all being well, these should be producing well into sort of April, maybe into May next year. Kale is a great thing to grow. It's just so nutritious, and I would say out of all the brassicas to grow, if you're going to just grow one, I'd go as far to say that kale might be the best one and the most sort of efficient, really. They're all good, of course they are, but I personally rate kale very much. I mean, you can use it in stir fries and stuff, you know. I'm going to talk a little bit about my cooking abilities later on, because somebody asked me the other day actually. So far we've got some beetroot, kale and some broad beans. What are we going to have now? We're going to have some spinach and some Swiss chard. This is Swiss chard, Ford hook giant chard. One thing I like about these is the stems. I really like the stems. To me they seem the tastiest part of the plant, actually. Just going to have a mix and match of chard and spinach, simply because I've got it all growing together down here. And once again, spinach should be cropping well into sort of April, hopefully May even, next year. Once again, it's just great stuff. It's just you know, perpetually cropping, and it just keeps coming back. As long as you keep picking it, if you don't pick it, it'll bolt, meaning it'll go to seed, which means it's like part of the sort of natural propagation process, you know, which occurs. Whoops, the camera's a bit shaky. I do apologise. This is very much a sort of on the cuff video. Whenever I make videos, there's always someone shouting their mouth off. It's as if they're waiting for you to start filming, and then suddenly... I'm going to turn this off now. Okay peeps, so here we are on the runner beans, and I'm starting to, you know, see them. Little runner beans are now starting to form. These are container grown runner beans, so they won't take so going in all in these containers here, and it's got a massively should be a massive crop if each one of these lovely red flowers makes a runner bean. Same with these, are really. So yeah, one of my viewers the other day asked me about you know, what I do with all the vegetables, really. And honestly speaking, I'm really not a chef by any means. I mean, I very simply do I sort of, you know, food-wise, really, when it comes to cooking. I mean, I basically just boil everything or steam it, and that's it. You know, and then I put a bit of apple cider vinegar on it. I mean, I can just heap up the old vegetables with a bit of the old gravy and just eat them, really. I don't worry about particularly making, you know, weird, well, not weird, but I don't worry about massive, nice dishes, because I don't know how to do it, personally, and it's not a thing I've really invested much time in learning how to do it, because, you know, cooking and chefing and that is an amazing thing to be able to do, and in a way I would like to be better at it, but at the same time, you know, I've got to invest the time and the effort to learn how to cook, you know, great dishes and all that. But at the same time, I wonder, you know, is it worth it for me? Because I'm still getting the same nutrition or whatever just by eating it and boiling it up, and away you go with some gravy. Whereas, you know, at the same time, is it really, to me, is it worth it? Because there's more time to invest in something else, and you know, time is not, we do not have an infinite supply of it. So there you go, that's a bit about my cooking anyway. Okay, so here we go. So basically the harvest today, we've got some beetroot there to boil up. I've got some Swiss chard and some kale and some broad beans. I'm very much looking forward to seeing how these potatoes do in these containers here. I've explained what I'm going to do with them probably, and that is when they're finished flowering and the tops die back, I'll cut the tops away, and then I will simply proceed to you know, tip them out when the bed is clearer, maybe even during the winter or late autumn. Okay, so when I sort of plan my vegetable beds, if you will, I take a few things into consideration. And I tell you what, the video's getting a little bit on the long side now. I will leave that for another time. Okay, if you like my work, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. And any comments, questions or whatsits, please feel free to post them below. Take care now.